You could be swimming in the ocean, and something the size of a building could be watching you from below. Not a myth, not a movie, something real, something that once ruled the seas and might completely rewrite our world if it still existed. Because here's the question no one really asks. What if the Megalodon never went extinct? We're talking about a creature twice the size of a T-Rex, jaws wide enough to crush a car like paper. A predator that didn't just hunt, it dominated. Entire ecosystems bent around it. And then one day, it vanished. Or did it? Over the years, strange sightings have surfaced. Blurry footage, massive shadows beneath ships, stories from deep-sea crews who swear they saw something impossible, something too big, too fast, too silent. But here's the strange part. If something that massive still existed, could it really stay hidden? Scientists say no, and their reasoning is terrifyingly simple. A predator that size doesn't just survive quietly. It leaves evidence. Massive bite marks, missing whales, disrupted ecosystems. And yet, none of that exists today. So the Megalodon is gone, right? Maybe. But that's not even the craziest part. Because the real question isn't whether it survived. It's what would happen if it did. And once you understand the answer, you might never look at the ocean the same way again. Let's break the illusion. If Megalodons were still alive, the deepest parts of the ocean wouldn't be their hiding place. In fact, they'd be the worst possible refuge. Why? Because Megalodons weren't built for darkness and cold. They thrived in warm, sunlit waters. The kind of places we swim. The kind of places we fish. The kind of places we vacation. And this is where it gets weird. People often imagine the ocean depths as a perfect hiding spot. But for a creature that size, survival isn't about hiding. It's about feeding. A Megalodon needed massive amounts of food. Every single day. So where would it go? Not into freezing trenches. It would follow prey. Whales, dolphins, large fish, entire migrating populations. And if Megalodons were still around, those animals would show signs of being hunted by something enormous. Something violent. Something unmistakable. But they don't. No giant bite marks. No massive carcasses drifting ashore. No confirmed sightings backed by physical proof. And that leads to a chilling conclusion. If Megalodons were alive today, we wouldn't be debating it. We'd be surviving it. But that raises a deeper mystery. If such a powerful creature once existed, how does something like that just disappear? Here's where things start to unravel. Megalodons didn't just exist, they dominated. For millions of years, they were the apex predator of the oceans. Nothing challenged them. Nothing rivaled them. They were massive, up to 18 meters long, built like living torpedoes, designed for power, speed, and destruction. And then they were gone. But why? One theory says food became scarce. As climates shifted, prey populations declined. Another suggests competition increased. New predators evolved. Faster, smarter, more adaptable. But here's the twist that changes everything. The ocean itself turned against them. As global temperatures dropped, colder waters spread across the planet. And Megalodons? They couldn't adapt. Their prey migrated into colder regions to survive. The Megalodon couldn't follow. Imagine being the ultimate predator, and suddenly your food starts vanishing into environments you can't survive in. That's not just a disadvantage. That's extinction. And that's when everything changed. Because for the first time in millions of years, the oceans were free. Free for new predators to rise. Free for ecosystems to rebalance. Free for us to enter the water. But what happens if that balance never occurred? What if the king of the ocean never stepped down? Now imagine a different world. A world where Megalodons never disappeared. At first, it sounds like a distant problem. Something far out in the open ocean. Something you'd never encounter. But that assumption falls apart fast. Because Megalodons didn't just live in deep waters. They gave birth in shallow, warm areas. The same places we call beaches. And that's when things get terrifying. A simple swim could become a life-threatening risk. Not occasionally, not rarely, but constantly. And it wouldn't stop there. Fishing industries would collapse under pressure. A single Megalodon needed over 1,000 kilograms of food every day. Multiply that across populations, and suddenly, entire fish stocks vanish. But here's the strange part. They wouldn't just compete with us. They'd learn to exploit us. Fishing boats, easy targets, nets full of fish, free meals. Just like modern predators track human activity, Megalodons would adapt. And what happens next changes everything. Shipping routes would shift. Coastal economies would struggle. Tourism would decline. Entire regions could become too dangerous to enter. Not because of storms, not because of pirates, but because something beneath the surface is watching, waiting. And it's hungry. Now we reach the part no one talks about. If megalodons had survived, evolution itself might look completely different. Because extinction doesn't just remove species. It creates opportunity. Without megalodons, other predators evolved. Ecosystems reshaped. Humanity expanded into oceans with confidence. But if they were still here, that confidence would never exist. We wouldn't dominate the seas. We'd fear them. And that fear would change everything, from trade to travel to how we see the planet itself. But here's the final twist. The megalodon didn't just disappear randomly. Its extinction may have been necessary. A reset. A shift that allowed the modern ocean and human civilization to exist as it does today. So maybe the real question isn't, what if it survived? Maybe it's this. If something that powerful could vanish without a trace, what else